Friends, just imagine if people from the future came to the present asking for help because their timeline was attacked by extremely dangerous alien creatures. But whether we humans will be able to find a solution is still a mystery. At the beginning of the story, we see some tools falling from the sky, and among them, there is a soldier named Daniel who is completely unable to understand what is happening. All the soldiers fall to the ground, and the scene around him is quite frightening. There is destruction everywhere, but to understand how this all happened, we need to go back 2 days. Here, we see Daniel, who was an ordinary person. Daniel was a biologist, but he had not yet received a job offer. Therefore, Daniel used to tutor children at a college. He lived with his wife and a very beautiful daughter. Daniel had applied to the military forces, but shortly after, his resume and degrees were reviewed, and he was rejected. Daniel was completely distressed about what to do next. To ease his tension, Daniel sat with his daughter to watch a football match. But suddenly, a huge portal opened in the stadium, from which many soldiers began to emerge. One of these soldiers, a captain named Goyen, was telling everyone that they needed help. In fact, these soldiers had come from a year 2018, and Goyen explained that their timeline was under attack by the White Speak Line alien creators, and now these aliens had taken over the entire Earth. Therefore, Goyen and her team were asking the present-day humans to help them by traveling to their timeline and fighting against the alien creators. When the people of 2021 learned about all this, every country began preparing their military forces to contribute. New recruits were being added to the military, and in this way, Daniel was also made part of the military. Daniel was informed that he would be traveling with them to the future. Although Daniel did not want to do all this, the military began to force him. They even placed a badge on Daniel's hand, which would teleport him. In the future, they can also track Daniel's story with the help of that badge. When Daniel returns home, he tells his wife everything. Daniel's wife is very angry because she does not want Daniel to be part of this dangerous war. Daniel shows his wife the badge on his hand, which allows the military to track his location. Daniel's wife tells him to somehow get rid of this badge. To do this, Daniel goes to his father, but he does not have a good relationship with his father, so he never really felt comfortable with him. Daniel explains everything to his father, who agrees to remove the badge, but their discussion turns into an argument over old issues, causing Daniel to leave in anger. With no other option available, Daniel has no choice but to become part of the war. Before leaving for the war, Daniel meets his wife one last time and hugs her. After this, Daniel goes with the other soldiers who are traveling to the future using the time machine. They all begin different types of training, and Daniel performs the best. However, one day, the soldiers return because their headquarters had been attacked by many creatures. Therefore, Daniel and many others are sent to the future to help. They are teleported using the teleportation machine and fall from the sky with the rest of the soldiers. This scene is the same one shown at the beginning of the story. Daniel has arrived in 2014, and the place is completely destroyed. Given his performance, Daniel is made the head of the entire mission. He leads his team to a building where some officers had been stationed. When Daniel and his team reach the building, they find that all the officers are missing. Daniel is then given the command to enter the building and retrieve an important hard drive. After hours of searching, Daniel and his team find the hard drive, but suddenly, they come under attack from the alien creators. Although the soldiers were being attacked by the creatures, the alien creators were so large that they managed to eliminate many soldiers in one go. Therefore, Daniel was instructed to destroy the entire building. The soldiers planted bombs in various locations, and Daniel, along with the remaining soldiers, exited the building just before it was completely blown up. This resulted in the death of all the alien creatures present there, but many of Daniel's team members also lost their lives in the attack. Daniel was knocked unconscious, and when he regained consciousness, he found himself in a military base. Only 3 people survived the attack. When Daniel went to a soldier named Jack, Jack informed him that this was his 3rd time here. Daniel was shocked, wondering how Jack could be here multiple times. Jack then revealed that he had cancer and preferred to give his life for the country rather than lying on a hospital bed. Thus, Daniel decided to continue his mission with Jack. While there, Daniel met a colonel, and he was stunned to discover that the colonel was none other than his daughter. This meant that in the future, Daniel's daughter would become a colonel. Daniel was overjoyed and wanted to embrace his daughter, but she stopped him, saying that they were soldiers and should focus on their duties. Daniel was initially unsettled by his daughter's behavior, but he set aside his feelings and focused on the mission. His daughter revealed that they had located the place where the queen of the creatures resided. If they succeeded in capturing this queen, they could experiment on her to develop a formula to eliminate the creatures. So, Daniel, his daughter, and some soldiers set out to find the queen. After some time, when they reached their targeted position, the colonel, Daniel's daughter, instructed him to stay behind while she and the other soldiers went to capture the queen. They managed to trap the queen in a cage, but her loud screaming attracted more creatures to the location, leading to another wave of attacks. The other soldiers kept firing at the creatures, but their overwhelming numbers caused them to be overwhelmed. Daniel was determined to help his daughter, so he quickly descended to her location. A military helicopter had already taken the queen of the creatures away, but the remaining creatures went berserk. Daniel and his daughter continued to fire at the creatures with the help of a tanker, managing to hold them back to some extent. They then retreated to a beach. After getting to safety, Daniel asked his daughter why she was acting this way. She revealed that she was very angry with him, similar to how his father had abandoned him. When Daniel went to war, his wife and daughter were left completely alone with no support. Since then, Daniel's daughter had harbored hatred towards him. They both returned to their headquarters, where Daniel's daughter continued her research on the queen's body to understand how the creatures were created and how they could be dealt with. After several hours of hard work, she managed to create a serum that could kill the creatures. However, the serum's quantity was very limited, and they did not have enough resources to produce a large amount of the antidote. Daniel's daughter promised to take the antidote sample back to her present time, where she could use the resources available to make a substantial quantity of the antidote. Daniel agreed to this plan. Suddenly, the queen of the creatures regained consciousness and began to scream loudly, summoning a massive alien creature to their location. The creature quickly attacked the military headquarters. Daniel tried to evacuate his daughter from the scene, but she was severely injured in the explosion. She kept urging Daniel to return to her time immediately. However, Daniel could not leave his daughter in such a state. Just then, the queen of the alien creatures appeared and started dragging Daniel's daughter. Daniel desperately tried to save his daughter, but she deliberately turned on the teleportation timer, sending Daniel back to his present time, 2020. Unfortunately, he was unable to bring his future daughter with him. Daniel began to plead with everyone to let him return to the future, but the teleportation machine was completely damaged and no one could travel to the future anymore. This left Daniel feeling extremely disheartened. Back in the present, Daniel was comforted by his daughter, who hugged him. He also shared all the details with his wife, explaining how their daughter would eventually become a colonel. This knowledge brought Daniel immense happiness. Daniel then went to see Jack, who had been stuck in the present time after coming from the future. Jack had kept a creature's claw from his time. Daniel took the claw to his laboratory for research. After some testing, they discovered that the creature's claws were made of synthetic material. However, this information seemed irrelevant to Daniel. While discussing these findings, one of Daniel's students mentioned that several years ago, a large amount of lava had erupted on an island. When the lava was covered by ice, all the animals on the island were buried under the ice. It was possible that the aliens had arrived on Earth years ago and were trapped under the ice. Another possibility was that as pollution increased in 2014, the ice melted, releasing the aliens. This theory seemed to be correct, so Daniel and the team used the military's advanced satellites to locate these icy areas. After extensive research, they found a place that matched their findings. Daniel then went to his father for assistance, as he had many fighting helicopters and planes. Daniel explained that their granddaughter's life was in danger and they needed help. Daniel's father was ready to assist immediately. Now, with his advanced helicopter and a team, Daniel set out to the location. Upon reaching the icy area, they planted many bombs on the ground, causing the entire ice to collapse. Venturing further in, they discovered an alien spaceship that had probably arrived years ago. Daniel and his team entered the spaceship and found that all the aliens were in hibernation chambers. To prevent the creatures from coming back to life, Daniel started injecting the antidote into the chambers. This antidote was the same one his daughter had created in the future, and Daniel had generated many samples of it by coming here. While they were killing the remaining creatures, the queen of the creatures emerged, sensing danger. She began attacking all the soldiers. Despite the soldiers' attempts to fight back, the bullets had no effect on the queen, and she continued to eliminate them. Daniel instructed everyone to leave because Jack knew he didn't have much time left. Jack decided to stay behind and fight the creature alone. Jack and Daniel's father exited the icy area, but the creature and its dangerous queen relentlessly pursued them. Even though the queen had been hit with many doses of the antidote, she was still moving aggressively. Daniel kept attacking the creature, but the queen continued to come after him. To save Daniel, his father attacked the creature, distracting it. The creature targeted Daniel's father, but he was prepared to sacrifice himself to save his son. As the creature attacked Daniel's father, Daniel quickly jumped on the creature and injected a large quantity of antidote into its body. The queen of the creatures was severely injured and eventually died. After such a long and intense battle, Daniel lay on the ice with his father, exhausted. Due to all these events, the hatred Daniel's mother had towards his father was completely resolved. After completing the mission, Daniel returned home with his father and was extremely happy to reunite with his daughter. In fact, Daniel and his father had eliminated the creatures in the present time, which meant that these creatures would never be able to attack in the future, and Daniel's daughter would never face the same danger again. Daniel had also come to accept his father. With everything settled and Daniel now aware of what he should avoid, our story comes to an end here.